I'm going to go ahead and start recording this session. My name is Tricia. I'm the product evangelist here at Lucid, and today I'm with our co-founders, John and Elise Keith, who will spend about 20 minutes walking you through the examples. If you have any questions, please type them in the questions box. I'll be watching that questions box, and we'll take some time to go over them before we end. If we do run out of time, we can always answer those via email as well. As I mentioned, we are recording this session, and we'll send out a link to the recording later. Okay, let's jump right in. Elise, over to you.
So today we're going to cover, yes, this is the second of 3 quick live demos covering the main features in Lucid Meetings. Yesterday we looked at how to get a meeting on the calendar and how to make sure that everybody can hear you on the call. And Lucid overall is designed to help make sure that everyone in your organization can help you run consistently effective meetings. So when we look at those meetings, what you need, the technology you need to run those, you can see it in sort of a Maslow's hierarchy of different kinds of technology. So like as I mentioned yesterday, we covered the things at the bottom of our pyramid, how to get your meeting coordinated, how to get people connected. Today's session, we're going to look specifically at how to work with the agenda, how to manage the meeting in progress, so how to run that and agenda during, capture notes, those kinds of things, this content and process part of our pyramid. And then in tomorrow's session, we'll look at the features at the top of our pyramid that help encourage your organization to make meeting well a regular habit. So rather than walk you through just a bunch of features, today we're going to look at just 2 examples. First, John's going to walk you through how to do an ad hoc client call where you don't necessarily have a full agenda in advance. You get a call and you need to run a quick meeting and you want to make that productive. So what kind of an agenda can you use for that, and how can you capture some notes? And then I'll walk you through a more complicated example where we look at a weekly management team meeting where you need to get input from everybody in advance of the meeting and are going to be tracking activity on a week-to-week basis. By the end of today's session, you will have seen how to collaborate on the agenda as a group, how to start and run a meeting, how to capture notes and action items and decisions and all of those kinds of important things that happen in your meeting, how to be able to present documents and share your screen if you need to do that, and then finally, after you've run that meeting, how to get those records out and publish them off to where you can use them. Okay, so with that, why don't we go ahead and turn it over to John to run through our first example.
Thanks, Elise. Great. Awesome. So, we really value preparation and being well prepared in advance, but sometimes you don't have the opportunity to do that because sometimes things come up and you just need to get on a call, quote unquote. So what we've done in Lucid Meetings is we've actually made it possible for you to structure some of that ad hoc, we need to meet now, and from the ad hoc meeting, create an actual agenda with purpose and with outcomes. So right now, I'm going to start this process with an example where my customer has called me and said, I need to meet right away. I'm having a problem with my IT department, and we need to get on a call. So I don't know what exactly the problem is. I just know that we need to get on a call. So one of the things that I do, I have set up for my personal meeting room, I have set up a public URL. And the public URL is a place where I can send this in the footer out and email anytime to anybody, and people can go there and wait for me to start a meeting and meet with me if we have one of these instant calls. So I've told this person in the past, please go ahead and go to the meeting room and wait for me. I'll set up a meeting and we'll get on. We'll figure out what's going on with your IT department. So back on my inside console where I work, I want to be able to set up a meeting right away, again on the call with the customer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the basic agenda template, which is a 3-part agenda that allows us to get in the meeting and then structure an outcome from it. And I'm going to select to meet now. meeting with Tom Brady. I'll meet with Tom Brady. It's a good one. And I will have him call me directly. Great. So I'm in the meeting and I'm waiting for Tom to arrive. If we take a look back at the screen where Tom is, we'll see he's sitting here waiting for me to show up. He can refresh his page now. What he'll see is he'll see that a meeting is in progress right now, a meeting with Tom Brady, and as a public user, he can join as a guest and request access to the meeting. Now, back over in my meeting, you see that Tom has in fact filled out that form and is requesting access to the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and approve Tom in the meeting. And now you can see that Tom Brady is present in the meeting. I can say, hi, Tom, are you there? Tom says, hey, no problem. Great, so I know you wanted to call about the IT issue you're having. I don't know exactly what it is. Can you tell me a little bit more about it, what sort of issues you're having, and how we can document a result that's going to work for you coming out of this meeting? You want to put that in chat or in a note, that'd be fine. Aha, I see. So you're getting SLA concerns. Gotcha. Okay, so we can review the SLA that we have. I can get that to you in a PDF format to share with your team. Why don't we go ahead and document what we want to get out of this meeting. So it sounds like you'd like to review the SLA that we have in place. As an outcome, it looks like desired outcome for this meeting, information for the IT department, and a follow-up meeting with IT. Does that sound like you have the right set of outcomes identified? All right, thanks much. Cool. All right. Well, let's move to a discussion item, and I'm going to. It just so happens I have a copy of this, our SLA, in this room. So I'm going to go ahead and add the SLA to this meeting, and I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and walk through this service level agreement. We can take a look at what Lucid Meetings offers. That's a short agreement. It's only 2 pages and a bit. You know, for the purpose of, yeah.
I just hate to interrupt or anything, but it sure looks to me like your screen is not changing in GoTo for me.
Interesting.
Tricia, are you seeing that? Is anybody else seeing that?
Yeah, most people are. I was just going to mention that. We had a couple questions come in.
Well, all right, let's stop and take a look at it. So this is a GoTo issue.
Because that makes for a lousy demo if nothing ever changes.
We see your welcome.
All right. You see the welcome screen.
Yes,
but you do not see the discussion screen. Wow, because that's not what I see on.
Maybe sharing a different app.
So no, let's share the app. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to write this, and we're going to go ahead and hit this share. Let me know what you see now, please.
Well, that's way better.
We see the PDF.
All right, we see this thing. All right, I started the sharing that window. GoToWebinar is lying to me. If this comes up again, be sure and stop me, because as far as I can tell, it's all working. All right, so let's go back. So what we've done is we've added a document to this meeting on the fly that was in my meeting room, and now I'm going to go ahead and show the document. Is everybody seeing the document through GoTo?
Way better.
Yeah.
Well, okay, great. I know the people in Lucid Meetings are seeing it, but I don't know about the GoTo experience, so that's great. All right, so what we've done is we had a document in our room. We just uploaded it to this, added it to this meeting, and we're sharing it. We're not actually screen sharing. We're presenting a document within the meeting, and that's really nice because we don't have to leave the meeting context. We don't have to share the rest of our screen. We just really want to talk about this document with the customer. So in our example with Tom, we can walk through this document. We can take a look at what's happening here. Maybe look at some of the boundaries and exclusions that may be the problem that IT has. Kind of formulate a little bit of a plan, and we'll leave him with that document that to be downloaded and passed on to his IT department later. So are you finding that as useful, Tom, as useful part of the experience, and do you have anything that you'd like to note in this thing? If you want to, you can go ahead and take a note in the notes area. and let me know what you think about what we just talked about. Tom. Sure, we can meet. Let's we'll set an action item to set up a follow-up meeting. I think that's yours. So we're going to assign that to you, Tom, and I'm going to ask you to set up that meeting. Set up the meeting by Friday, and let me know what the date of the meeting is going to be. All right. So. All right. Great. So we've got that captured. Awesome. So is there anything else we need to talk about, Tom, before we end this meeting and move on to next steps? I see you're taking a note, so I'll go ahead and wait for you to add your thoughts. Gotcha. So I see you've set up an action item as well. Perfect. Great. Okay, looks like we're all set up. Mine has a due date. My action item's stronger. Let's move on to the last part of this meeting. All right, so great. So now we're sitting here at next steps. We can take a look at all the action items we've created in this meeting. The one that you've set up is the one that we're going ahead and stick with, which is you have an action item by Friday to set up a meeting with IT, and you'll let us know about that, and we'll follow up with IT department. Great. Sound good? Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Tom. I'm glad we had a chance to get on this call. We'll go ahead and end this meeting. Please go ahead and rate the meeting for effectiveness when we're done, and I'll send a follow-up as soon as we're done to you to capture your action item so you know what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, John showed you basically how to run through an ad hoc meeting with a very, very simple agenda, how to get it started, how to come to a main discussion and capture some action points, and then how to end it with a result. Now I'm going to show you a more complicated meeting. And I'm going to go right into looking at this application. And we'll keep this kind of brief so we have to get through all your questions. So in this case, we're going to start with a more complicated agenda. We're going to do the cross-functional team update. And I'm going to start in my meeting space where my management team meets regularly. This is a great time. We'll go ahead and use our video conferencing, and we'll do save and next. I'm going to select everybody in my team, add the people. And using that template, I've got myself an agenda all ready to go. Now this agenda, so this is going to get to, we have basically 3 tips for most quickly putting together a detailed agenda, and they are this. First, start with a template that gets you as close as possible to the agenda you're trying to build. Second, start by organizing. So there are 2 different modes for editing an agenda. There's the edit mode, which is this button here, and then there's the organize mode. The edit mode is for adding all of the details, adding your documents, adding your text, all of that kind of rich stuff. Organize is a super fast way to come in and add new categories and move things around. So in this case, I can say, you know what, we're not going to have time for the business update in this meeting, so we're just going to get rid of that one. In terms of just team updates, we're going to do this by department. So I'm going to just click on that, and I'm going to say, okay, I need one for sales. And I'm going to use my keyboard to tab through these and add another one. I need one for marketing. And we need one for ops. And we need an update from development. All right, and I want to have, let's see, we're going to have here from ops first, and then marketing, and then development. Oops, I'm going to go ahead and indent that one. Great. I can use these arrows, but I like drag and drop. It's a little simpler for me. All right, now that I've got the basic structure of my agenda in place, I can go ahead and look at the details. This particular meeting agenda is organized to help us review things that we have open from previous meetings. So we start by looking at the list of all of our open action items from previous meetings, making sure everybody kind of has a chance to get those up to date. Then we talk about victories, which helps connect our team back with the purpose of our organization. You know, what's happened that's moved us closer to our mission, our vision, our strategic plan. We go through some announcements, and then we do basically a round robin style. We each take turns doing updates, answering these 4 questions. I'm going to go ahead and edit this agenda to assign specific people to talk about the different parts of their work. So the presenter for this one is going to be Tricia. Tricia's going to deal with ops. Sales, that's going to be John. And by assigning these people as presenters, marketing, that's me, and development, we'll give that to Amy. When they come to the agenda, they can, because they are the presenter for that particular item, they'll be able to click that edit button at the top and edit just that particular section. I can also, while I'm here, go ahead and add some more details. In the marketing part of my update, I want to share some information that we've been working on in the background. We've been working on our buyer's journey, which is a document we've put together in Excel. So that's something I looked at in an earlier meeting, and it's in my meeting room. I'm going to go ahead and add that here. You can add documents of any kind, but if they're PowerPoints, PDFs, Word documents, or Excel documents, you can present those online just like John did with the SLA in our earlier version. So, and I can, if I want to make sure it looks good, I can go ahead and preview that to make sure I've got the right document. Yep, that's what I'm after. Great. Okay, and then here at the end of this agenda, it's designed to do exactly what John just did, to go ahead and review any action items we might capture during the meeting and let us look at that. Now, we tend in this particular meeting not to catch as many action items. We catch all kinds of things, and rather than reviewing the action items, I think I'd like to look at everything that we do in that meeting. So I can look at the decisions and anything else that we do. So I'm going to change this smart list so that it's looking at everything in the meeting as part of our closing item. Okay. So with that, I've taken a template agenda. I've, pardon me, I've organized it to add specific updates for my team. I've assigned people to the different updates. Some of them have timers set. Now, when people on my team come here, I can go ahead and look at the instructions, and the instructions for how to prepare tell them to go ahead and plan for this meeting. Those instructions will also go out in their invitation. Gives them 10 to 15 minutes to make sure they come and fill all of this in. And when they come back, they'll be able to edit their own items. Now, if I just want to have people be able to add victories and announcements and things, I can change the settings on my meeting so that they can also, so that everybody invited to the meeting can edit it. And to do that, I come to the Settings tab, and I just click on a setting, and I change it to what I want it to be. So in my case, I like it so that everybody can work on the agenda. That way they can add new items, they can, add to the victories, and I can make, I like to make mine as collaborative as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and open some of these things up. Meeting reminders are on, the rating form's on, it looks great. Okay. Now, I happen to have scheduled this meeting without adequate prep time. I apologize, team. Let's go ahead and start it anyway. We're not going to walk through all of the steps to working through the meeting because, in theory, you saw John just do it, but I will show you a couple of them. So first, here's that way that smart list presents when you first join the meeting. It's automatically pulling up all of the action items from our past meetings so that we can take a look at those. When I'm ready to move to the next item, there are a couple of different ways to advance the agenda. First, as the facilitator, I can click on the numbers. So here are all of our agenda items we set up before, and I can make the next one the current item. I can use the previous and next buttons and say, wait a second, we didn't look at those action items, let's go back. And I can also be flexible. So, for example, if Tricia said, you know what, we're really running out of time, Elise, I need to go first with my sales update, I can say, that's great, Tricia, let's go ahead and we'll make her ops update. We're going to make Tricia next. We're just going to go ahead and skip ahead in the agenda, no problem. And even though we were on one, we can just skip right to 4.1, and now Trisha's in charge, and Trisha's update will appear here. I can also, in terms of things that happen with agendas, you know, best laid plans and all of that, sometimes things change. You get into the middle of a call and you realize, you know what, we absolutely need to tackle the issue of the Christmas party. I can go ahead and add to the agenda on the fly, right during the meeting, and go ahead and move this right on up. We're going to make Christmas party the number 4 item. And now my agenda and my meeting can focus right on the Christmas party, right like that. I'm going to capture a quick note. Christmas party at Dave's, holiday festival at the ice skating rink. And we'll go ahead and tag this one as a decision. Great. Done. Now, to keep things short, I'm going to pretend we talked about everything else, and we're going to go ahead and skip all the way to the end. During this meeting, what we accomplished, we heard from each other our updates, we walked through everything theoretically, and we made a decision that the Christmas party will be at Dave's and the general holiday festival at the ice skating rink. Excellent. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting. So we created our agenda, we reorganized it, we assigned out the ability for other people to collaborate on it. Excellent. Now what do you do with it? Afterwards, you can edit these notes. In case there was something you didn't catch in the notes that you want to catch later, you can come afterwards. And we've got the notes and the agenda separated, so you can clearly see the distinction between the things that came up during the meeting when you captured it and the full agenda that has all of the details that you prepared ahead of time. Finally, once those look good, of course you can send those out by email. You can also export those records to a number of formats. So if you happen to be working with a board or committee, you'll want to be able to download to Word or PDF. And if you choose, you can include all of the reference documents, so that'll give you a zip file with all of those things. Or in this case, we've connected our meeting rooms to Basecamp. So I'll just go ahead and publish this record to Basecamp so that I can see what I've done reflected in my project space as well. So this is okay, great, that's published. And if I pop over to Basecamp and I come into the room where I've been doing that, here is my cross-functional team weekly update notes. And you can see here, it's the full notes. It includes everything that was in the agenda and the notes, Christmas party at Dave's, all in my project repository as well. So with that, we have looked at how to run a meeting with a very simple agenda, how to capture some notes, how to add a more complicated agenda and work with the collaborating on that in advance, and how to then publish those records out to Basecamp or get them in a file. And with that, I think we're ready to take some questions.
So, Elise, while you're in there, can you, we did have a question come in for the agenda specifically and adding a document to a specific item in the agenda. Could you show that real quick?
You bet. And I did that earlier, but let's go ahead and do that again. So there, let's go ahead and just add a document to the victories. So in the agenda, when you hover over every item, you can click to edit it, and that'll edit the text, or you get this blue plus. And this blue plus sign has a drop-down menu on it where you can add all kinds of things, the first of which is a document. And with the documents, you have a couple of options. You can upload them from your computer or from Box or Dropbox. After you've been meeting in a space for a while, you can select documents that you've looked at in the past, which is what I did in this last time. And you can add, a couple of them. And there you go. So then the documents appear here. When you have a document uploaded like this, if it's a format that we can make previewable, you can present it during the meeting, and then the people invited to your meeting can then export it, and it'll be included in that record. What other questions do we have, Tricia?
Well, let's ask the audience. I didn't get any other specific questions at this point, but with the time we have left, we can go over all of your questions if you have any. So please feel free to type those into the questions box and we can certainly answer them. So we'll wait to see if anyone has any.
All right, so hopefully the lack of questions means this was screamingly, crystallizingly clear, and everybody's like, that's simple and easy, and I've got it. One thing that we will cover tomorrow, and that may come in handy for you now that I can look at quickly, just while we have a couple minutes left, is how do you end up with a template in the first place? Because the first tip, if you remember, in terms of getting your agenda right quickly, is to start with a template that's pretty close. And there are a couple ways you can do that. I mean, one is you can pull a template from the template gallery. So Lucid Meetings publishes a number of templates, and we add to this list all the time. And when you find one that you like, you can get it and add that to your organization. So that's one way to do it. The other way to go ahead and get a template in place that you might like is to create one based on your meeting. So if we don't have one, but you happen to run a fabulous charter setting meeting, for example, you can take and you can make that meeting the starting place for a template, or you can even copy that meeting. So if you're doing, basically the same meeting every couple of days or once a week, but the time shifts, you can go ahead and take a meeting you've run in the past, copy that meeting, and why don't we just copy this one we just did? And not only is that going to copy the agenda, but it's also going to copy, the basic same starting time, all of your attendees, all of your documents, all of that stuff. So basically, you get a very quick setup for getting that agenda and that meeting organized exactly the way you want it to be. All right. Well,
we did have a few more questions come in while we were.
Oh, great.
So one is, when an attendee makes a note, does it indicate who wrote the note?
When the attendee makes the note, you can see who's taking that note while they're typing, and that is something that we track in the log. So if you look at a past meeting, you can see it in a couple of different ways. So if I look at today's meeting, this one, there's a log represented by the tree that will show you top-level things, who joined, when they joined, all of that. And then there is a full report with every meeting that will show you not only, it'll show you when people are taking notes and where those notes fall in here. And then at the system level, we do have those details in a very sort of troubleshooting IT kind of level. Other questions?
Yeah, we did have one question. I think we went over it a little bit yesterday, but maybe you could just cover it quickly again. Beyond Basecamp, what other products do we integrate with?
So our integration list, and the easiest way to see that is to go to our website and look at the integrations. And let's just go ahead and pop that up. So we integrate with a number of things: documents and screen sharing, so Box, Dropbox, and Glance, Basecamp, Confluence, and Harvest for project management, several different audio and video conferencing providers, and then, of course, your calendars. We are currently working on some other exciting integrations coming out in the future, and just for everybody's edification, our most requested integration is Teamwork. So that's kind of what our future looks like, but this is an area like the templates that we're always adding to. All right. Well, I believe that we are out of time.
Yep, those are all the questions. Great. All right. Well, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take the screen and just basically show mine here. And We've gotten your questions, so we appreciate that. And if you do have any more questions about the topics that we've covered, you can reach us at support@Lucid Meetings. And a couple of you asked, and I'll just repeat it. We did record this webinar, and we will be sending those links to all 3 webinars, if you attended them or even if you didn't, to everyone via email later in the week. So we appreciate you joining us, and we hope to talk to you all soon. Thanks so much.